This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris. Will.
I'm Will.
And I'm, again, still neither of them. I'm Adam. What's up?
Yeah, this is Adam from...
Yeah, that's me. That's
there
that
he
nerd.
is.
I'm that guy. Shave.
The other Dreamcast guy.
I got a story about that, but okay, go on.
So I think I've heard this story before because you've told it on your YouTube channel, correct?
Probably.
Okay.
I'll just tell it real quick. I was at a convention. I was at PAX South like a couple years ago, and I was walking around, and this dude comes up to me, and he's like running one of the conventions that happens in Texas. He's just like, "Oh, Retropalooza, we tried to get you to this, but we never heard back. Like our boss wanted, he couldn't remember your name, so he's like, I want that Dreamcast guy." And they literally contacted Dreamcast guy and had him be a guest. That was it. I never even knew about it.
That is hilarious. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate that they got the wrong guy, but it is.
You know what's even funnier is later that day I ran into him. I ran into Max. Like I'd never met him before, and we just happened to meet each other the exact same day. Like, and I told him the same story, and he's like, "That's hilarious."
He seems pretty cool. I've watched one or two Spawncasts that he was on, and he seemed like a pretty funny guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
So today is TUBER
Today
Tuesday.
is not about Dreamcast, guys.
No, it's not.
It's about Dreamcast. It's about Saturn.
Yes, well, that's the main
I brought
focus
that
of his
full
channel,
circle
it
anyway.
seems like. So today is TUBER Tuesday, okay? And I'm saying it differently for the 10th straight week in a row because I always say it differently, even though Will has maintained consistency how he introduces videos. So it is what it is. Please remember to like this video, comment about how much you hate me on this video, and subscribe to our podcast. Okay,
I definitely
love
will
the
comment
hate.
Say nice things to him too. It is an option.
That is an option. But the guy that keeps commenting, our buddy Garth Benjamin, keeps commenting pretty nasty stuff on the podcast. So you know what? I don't care. He's a subscriber. He can say whatever he wants for all I care. He's got some pretty funny stuff. I don't know if you've noticed any of the comments he had previously, but there was one where we did this crazy taxi video, and his comment was, "Oh, look, it's Drive Like My Wife Simulator." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
That's I got nothing to that. No.
Okay, so today is about the Southern Sega gentleman, okay? I'm going to give you guys a brief synopsis of his channel. He's got just under 4,000 subscribers. He created this particular channel on November 2nd, 2013. He's currently got over 110,000 views on his videos. And here's his description tab. I'll pull it up on here too so you guys can see it. Says, "This isn't your run-of-the-mill gaming channel. I try to show how games have impacted the industry, their genre, and by how it has directly impacted me. No 24-hour news cycles or top 10s, just straight from the heart, and as in-depth as I can get vids. While I wish I could post regularly, YouTube doesn't pay my bills. This is first and foremost a passion project. So if you like the personal touch and are tired of clickbait, maybe stick around. Us Southern gents kind of rub off on you. Check me out over on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram." And then he says to donate to St. Jude and FisherHouse.org. Okay. So with that being said, I want to say that his most in-depth videos are on the Dreamcast and the Saturn. Mostly the Saturn, though. And I know he opened up his podcast with you, Adam, on the Saturn. He told a pretty interesting story about his introduction to the Saturn and what it meant to kind of his childhood, if I remember correctly.
Wait, what? My podcast?
Yeah, Figure Out Podcast. You were on there, right?
Oh, yeah,
with
no,
him?
I'm totally kidding.
Oh.
Yes, we probably should have introduced that earlier. Yeah, I have a podcast, and he was a guest on it at one point.
Yeah.
Sup, man? SSG.
There you go. You had me
He's
there for a
good
second,
dude,
Adam.
and he sounds a lot like what's that actor? Damn it, the guy who played I can only think of him in crappy roles. He was in Ghost Rider as the original Ghost Rider.
Oh, Nicolas Cage.
No, alongside Nicolas Cage.
Oh, I was like, he doesn't sound like Nicolas Cage, Will.
Come on, why? Damn it, it's right there.
All right, let me pull this up.
I know exactly
Let me
who
pull
you're
this up.
talking about, but I can't think of his name.
I can only, dude, this is hilarious. I can only think of him in crappy movies. He was in The Good Dinosaur. I know he was in, I think, The Big Lebowski, although people like that movie.
Wait, what? You mean I know who you're talking about.
See, it's happening to you too.
It is. Oh,
He was
man.
in The Hulk, which was also garbage.
Was he really?
I can only think of
Yeah, he
him in
was.
terrible films. That's not cool.
He's also doesn't he do the Ram commercials now too?
Are you talking?
Yeah,
Are you talking about the guy
probably.
that actually played the Big
Commercials.
Lebowski?
I'm pretty sure he was in Big Lebowski. What? I want to look it up. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm being unprofessional. I have to look stuff up.
Not Jeff Bridges, right?
No,
Not
no, no.
Bridges.
Oh, I was gonna say what?
Come on, we're gonna
not
do
Steve
this. We're gonna
Buscemi.
cheat. We're gonna use IMDb, and I'm gonna find him. Sam Elliott. Boom.
Yeah.
That's
Sam
what I got.
Elliott.
Sam Elliott.
Hold
on
on
Mhm.
a
Sam
second. I
Elliott
gotta
up.
look this guy
Listen
up
to
now.
him, and that's the Sega Saturn gentleman, Southern Sega gentleman. Wow, I screwed that up on the podcast too.
Oh, this guy. Isn't he in? Wasn't he on Parks and Rec for a minute?
Yeah, he was like
He was
He was
the
the
hippie
alter
Ron.
ego
version
of Ron. Yeah.
the best
Yeah.
character. His name also escapes me. We can't do this all night. Can't have just. Oh, what was that guy? He was in the thing with the stuff.
Yeah. No, you're right. He does kind
Oh,
of
he was
sound
for a
like
shirt
him.
sometimes.
Anyway,
At all? Sorry.
I watched a whole bunch of this guy's videos. All right, a shout out to a supporter of Adam's channel. I'm sure he'll know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to call him out by name because he didn't ask for this.
But I'm giving it to him anyway. What up, Rubio?
There you go. There you go. So he's really interesting to listen to. He's got some pretty good stuff on the Saturn, how he kind of grew up with it, and then he's got a couple videos on the Dreamcast where he's talking about how it impacted his life. He comes across to me like a very authentic and genuine person on everything he covers, and that is important to me because when I hear somebody kind of talking through their teeth about a story that doesn't seem genuine or authentic, I pretty much just turn it off. I'm just like,
I
nope.
think he's calling me out, Will.
Yeah, you got me, Adam. You got me. No.
I knew it. This is all a setup. Okay. I'll roll.
Yeah.
Hold on, before we keep going, Adam sent me a message before we started this, and he goes, "You're not trying to like do a hit piece on me, are you?"
I knew it. I knew it.
I was like, I would not have invested like 5 years of watching him on YouTube just to do a hit
Dude,
piece.
you're going for the long con. It's all I can tell.
Yeah, so 10
Yeah,
years
yeah.
down the road, when Adam runs for president, no.
Wow.
We're gonna splice his responses
Freak me
together.
out, man. I'll be old enough by then.
I don't actually know how old you are, Adam.
I just turned 33 like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I'm old enough, not in this election, but I guess 2024.
There you
All
go.
right. Everybody, don't vote me. 2024. Let's go.
It'll be
Yes.
Koralik versus Kanye 2024. No.
Here's my campaign slogan: is "Don't
Hey,
vote for me. Let's
don't
make
vote
it
for
not
me.
happen." We
Wasn't
did it,
that a-
everyone. He didn't win.
Wasn't that a
Yes.
South Park episode? Don't vote for me, and he won.
Damn it! South Park did everything.
Yeah, they did.
Yes.
They did. Yeah. Okay, so just so you guys are aware, Southern Sega gentleman. So he's got his top video is a Dead or Alive 1, 2, and 3 retrospective, which I'm not that into Dead or Alive, but I did watch the video because I always watch the most popular video on a channel before I decide if I'm going to subscribe. Because a lot of
There's
times
no way you watched the most popular video on my channel.
I did. Your Back to the Future
Calling you
video,
out.
Yeah.
dude. I played
What
that
was
game
it?
because of you.
Which one?
The Back to the Future video.
Oh. Called my bluff.
That's the whole reason I downloaded it. I saw that video. I was like, oh man, I got to try this. I can't say I was paying
the
attention the
game?
whole time. I was, yeah.
Well, I thought you downloaded the movie.
No.
Actually, one guy did do that, and he started selling pirated Blu-rays of it.
Are you
I
serious?
was like pretty flattered by that. Like, oh, that's cool.
How long did that take?
That's some metric of success, I guess.
How long did that take you to put that video together?
Oh, dude, this is totally not relevant to Southern Sega Gentlemen.
it's
I'm
not.
so sorry. But when that game came out, like that version of it came out in like early October 2015, and I foolishly, delusionally thought, oh, cool, I can get this out by October 21st, you know, the day. So I thought, I have a whole week. I can edit this. Anyway, long story short, it came out in very late December of that year. And that was both of them did. I worked around the clock. I had no idea how awful that was going to be to cut, because it was just not only do you have to make like all sorts of story changes, because video games don't really work like movies. You know, a lot of them is like, hey, go get the thing and bring it to the place to get the other thing and bring it to that place, then bring it back to the first. That's not interesting. So you have to like find narrative ways to get around stuff like that. you have to create new scenes, and then you have to cut out like as many glitches as you can. That game was kind of buggy, so it had sometimes characters would just go straight to the T pose, that like basic model.
Yeah.
So you can try to cut that out, and then you have to find creative ways to explain why a few frames are missing. It was hell. It was absolute hell, and then I had to do 2 of them.
Oh man.
So anyway, it didn't quite make my goal of 1 week, but it did come out.
It did. It definitely came out, and it's your most popular video, which to me is unfortunate.
That's why.
Because you've got such great content on your channel, and so does this Southern Sega gentleman that we're supposed to be talking about.
That was so smooth. You see the way you brought that around?
Yeah, I did.
Good. Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
So I messed this up. His first video was his Dead or Alive 1, 2, 3 retrospective. Okay, his actually most popular one is the history of the Resident Evil 2's failed port for the Sega Saturn, which I found really interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool. Yeah.
And he really covered that well. So if you're interested in Resident Evil 2 on the Sega Saturn, go check out his video on it. It's fantastic. Can't give him enough props for it. But the other things that he really covers on here, and mostly the Saturn, let's face it. You called him the Southern Saturn gentleman.
Yeah, I screwed that up on the podcast with him, and he said it was fine.
But he's got like this. He's very honest with the viewers. Okay, he recorded this video called "Until Next Time," where he's talking about why he hasn't been posting to his channel and how he's kind of failing the viewers. It just gives updates about where he's at with the channel, which is what we try to provide on our Sunday videos, where we kind of go over the past week. Albeit we literally post every day except Saturday, and we haven't jumped to Saturday because it already takes us long enough to record 5 episodes a week on top of the Synopsis Sundays. But it's cool that a channel with almost 4,000 subscribers is still just him posting it whenever he feels like it, and does it as well as he can at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam, did you say you had watched 1 or 2 in preparation for your podcast? Which videos do you remember watching?
I believe it was actually that Resident Evil 2 video, because that was by far the most interesting subject. Because I'm actually a big fan of Resident Evil 2, and I did know it was supposed to come out on Saturn, but I didn't really know what actually happened with that. I do remember watching it, but that was like 6 months ago.
Okay. Will, did you watch any of the videos I sent you?
I did. I watched all the videos. That
you watched?
Thank you very
good.
much. Thank you very much. I do some things for this podcast.
I text him random videos all the time, Adam.
Comment.
So
sorry.
Keep going, Will. Sorry.
No,
what was your take on his
sorry.
videos?
There's a bit of a delay on my end. So.
Oh, okay.
I honestly, some of the content I really like. Just like you were saying, it seems like actually is genuine. It's coming from the heart. Some of the subjects doesn't resonate with me. So the 2 consoles that he focuses the most on, I have absolutely no connection to. So something like the videos that I am enjoying the most that he's created are things like the ones that you have here on this list is the retrospective, because I kind of like when he covers more than one game at a time, as well as weird gaming history facts. I like those kind of videos where I go into it not really knowing anything about the game, and then I come out saying, oh, that was some random fact that I may or may not ever be able to bring up again, but it's still cool to know about. Whereas some of the other stuff, I mean, it's well made, and I can see an audience for it. It's just not for me. And real quick about the apologizing to the fans, this is a personal preference. I would prefer YouTubers that take a hiatus for whatever reason, just to put out the next video instead of apologizing, because I'm not owed anything.
That's true.
So I really don't like, because the Completionist did something similar where he kind of apologized and was talking about changing his videos as well coming into next year, and it's like I didn't need that. just make the content.
There you go, Will. Synopsis Sunday is canceled. No.
Yeah.
Well, it gives us a chance to respond to the comments and.
Well, you can change it to Sorry Sunday.
Sorry Sunday.
Yes.
Put the board game up on every episode. We're just gonna play Sorry.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, I think that so this guy's more of a storyteller. All right, he does do these retrospectives, he does do these interesting facts, but he's also got a story, like kind of storytelling is part of his brand. So I think that's why this Until Next Time video exists. because he did this video called "How a Dream Can Save a Life." It's about his interaction with the Dreamcast, kind of where his life started, where his life got to, and how he recovered from the issues of his past, let's call it. I'm not going to go real deep into that because that's not really part of this podcast, but the video in general is definitely storytelling, and I think that's kind of part of the heart of this channel is his storytelling. So he's got a Shenmue 3 Sunday chat. That's not really it. But when you look at his more popular videos, 2,000 views on this one. His original video, Dead or Alive 1, 2, 3, 2,000 views on that one. The videos he does put out get views. And his storytelling is part of that, I think, because he comes across genuine and authentic, which is something I appreciate. And he spends a lot of time on those videos, picking up facts, doing things like this Resident Evil. This obviously took a lot of work to put this together. And if I was going to give him any type of criticism, which is what we're going to do next, going to give him some pros, some cons. We've already given the pros. Now we're going to talk about some criticism, if you have any. I think he needs some kind of a monthly or maybe bi-monthly upload schedule that people can kind of tune into if he really wanted to be specifically successful on YouTube, because the algorithm feeds into that. I'm sure you know that, Adam.
Yes. You can't... It depends on your goals. Having talked to him, and also based on his description, he has never struck me as one who wants to do YouTube as a way to blow up. It's more like he wants to do it just to do it because he finds it to be a passion, where he's doing it for fun. And he could quit anytime and probably not look back. So with that in mind, I see why he does it that way. But the flip side of that is you will never really reach the kind of audience that will see your stuff if you don't have some sort of consistency. Because people are creatures of habit, and they kind of let them know, like, hey, at the end of the month, every month, this video comes out from this guy I watch, so I'm going to go check today. Or every Friday, this guy releases a video, so I'm going to go check. But if it's like, oh, he just uploaded one, at one point, that's hard to predict. But then again, there are plenty of YouTubers who put out like one video every like 6 months, and somehow they get like 10 million views because it's like an event. So it's like there's two different logics. Because he's talking specifically retro gaming, and even more niche, the Saturn, that will never happen. Nope. So he has to be a tad more consistent to build that base, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
The only person doing that type of video that I think really that gets that kind of viewership and that kind of an event is, like, I don't know if you watch him, Adam, but Gaming Historian.
Of course,
he puts out a buddy of
mine.
Is he?
Yeah,
he's pretty cool. We covered him on one of our first Tuber Tuesdays. It's actually the one that Will wasn't part of because Will was off on vacation. We had somebody filling in that week, and he didn't really know what Gaming Historian was. So, no offense to Billy.
Yet.
No offense to Billy, but it didn't. The views will speak for themselves on those videos. Let's put it that way for the Gaming Historian video. I really wish we should probably go back and cover him again, do him some justice.
Yeah, I've watched every single video now, and I keep refreshing his page to try to get more videos.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he could, with the Saturn being his sole focus, there's not enough viewership on just specifically the Saturn to really get a Gaming Historian event kind of views, like you were saying. I would agree with that. But going forward, with the authenticity, the research he does, the work he puts into these videos, I can only see his subscriber count going up because he is at least active with his channel. And like you said to us, it's inevitable that you gain more viewers if you keep doing it.
I agree. I'm seeing more of his stuff pop up in Facebook groups and stuff, so people are taking notice. But it mostly seems to revolve around that Resident Evil 2 video, which for the same reason caught my attention. It's about something a lot of people in the retro community have heard of, which was Resident Evil 2. And even there were a few of us, but there was a lot of us who did know that Resident Evil 2 was going to be on the Saturn, but most of us don't know why. So to have a comprehensive video about it is interesting. But then, now forgive me, I haven't seen the Dead or Alive 1, 2, or 3 retrospective. Now, I actually really like the Dead or Alive games. I think they're phenomenal. They're actually my favorite fighting game series. But I don't know why, but no part of me has ever really been that interested in knowing how they got made. I don't know. I mean, I know that they're kind of a parody almost of Virtua Fighter, but beyond that, I haven't really pursued it. But then again, that's just my personal taste. I think it's just part of this was the fact that Resident Evil 2 is like on that like upper echelon of famous games that people want to know stuff about, but no one ever really properly covered the Saturn version because it didn't exist. Whereas if you said, "Oh, let's talk about the history of the PlayStation port," I don't think anybody would really care.
Nope.
Because it's like it came out, we know what it is, and you're at that point you're just talking about the general development of the game. It's not an interesting story anymore.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep, I definitely agree. If you could find some more...
The problem with a channel like that is there's not too many unique stories like that with the Saturn. You can talk about, like, why did this game only come out in one region or something like that. You can talk about, like, the fan translation of this game. You can talk about why, you know, like, certain games never came out that clearly should have in one region or another, but that's... I mean, I struggle with that. Like, even after that, it's kind of like, I don't know what else you really talk about other than unique hardware versions and stuff. But then again, he's the one with the burning passion for the Saturn. I'm at best a casual for the Saturn. I like it. I find it fascinating. But I don't necessarily say, like, dude, I mean, I'm like looking at some of my Saturn games right now, and I'm like, oh man, Wipeout 2097 only came out in Europe. Why? I need to tell everybody why that happened. I don't know, and I don't care. I just know it did. And that's because it's Wipeout 2097. Resident Evil 2 is like, dude, I want to know. That's actually that specific game is fascinating. But if it was the same subject, like, why didn't some obscure game from PS1 never get ported? Who would care? Because nobody would remember. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like Panzer Dragoon Saga is probably the most well-known title on the system. Would you agree?
When you say well-known, I would say that it's possibly the most infamous because of how expensive it is.
Yes,
I would say
that's what I mean.
Probably the most played would be like Nights into Dreams.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I guess I'm speaking from like a retro video game YouTuber perspective. I guess general public, yeah, that would be true.
I would say anybody who knows what the Saturn is knows what Panzer Dragoon Saga is because of the price tag attached to it.
Yes.
But I would say I would venture to say that more people have played Nights into Dreams rather than Panzer Dragoon Saga.
That's fair.
But I mean, we're just nitpicking.
And you know what's funny is the first time I've ever seen a Saturn in person was at a thrift shop years after it came out. Mm-hmm. And it had a price tag of like $70. I was like, what?
Oh, this is the one you sent me a picture of.
Yeah. I was like, what? $70? There's no liability if this thing even works. Who would pay $70 at a thrift shop for a Saturn? I wouldn't.
Well, come full circle, that's actually what we're back to.
Yeah.
$70 for a Saturn these days is kind of, I'm not going to say a good deal, but it's not awful.
Well, there's a retro gaming store right down the road that sells them for the same price, and they have actual liability.
Well, that's important to know.
That's what I mean.
Functionality to it, of course.
Because I actually specifically went there, and they had 5 of them, and I was like, okay, how much are these? $70. I was like, what's your return policy? Oh, you get 2 weeks. Okay, that's way better than the thrift shop.
Yeah, that's really
of course.
And then GameStop, I actually asked an employee, I was like, hey, what do you guys sell the Saturns for online? Like, not that I would necessarily trust GameStop with a retro system after watching most of Spawnway's videos on it. I'm not sure.
They have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. And but they said it's only like $60 with a controller. I'm like, wow, that's not bad at all. And then, probably $10 shipping, so you're still at $70.
Well, you're going to get a box of parts.
Yeah.
You got to assemble it yourself.
Buy a new disk drive. And
yeah, exactly.
But
you want a little side story? Earlier this week, I was out in San Francisco, and I had some time off, and I was hanging with a buddy, and we were just doing some GameStop like hunting because a bunch of them are going on, out of business, so they're kind of burning prices and trying to get rid of stuff. And we went into this one, and we were just kind of chatting with these guys, and they were talking about how because their store's closing, they're no longer allowed to take new stuff in. So he's like, the saddest one, he's like, we knew what it was, but we didn't really have any way to deal with it, is people will come in and they're like, hey, I have a Sega, like this one dude brought in a Sega Saturn with a whole bunch of games and was just kind of like, I want to sell this to GameStop, and they're like, we can't take it. The guy wanted us to just donate it then. We're not allowed to do that, and we're not allowed to keep it. We had to chuck it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Corporate makes us throw away this stuff. It's like, so he just took in a Saturn with a bunch of games and chucked it. That was GameStop's policy, at least in these particular areas.
That's the official policy. Who knows Who knows what the unofficial
I think he would
policy
have told
is.
us if he's like, oh yeah, then we just threw it in our car. I think he would have said that because he seemed pretty cool about it. So
Retrieve it from the dumpster later.
This is what, and that doesn't surprise me. Like I remember when the Dreamcast was still relevant. I know I told this story in a video once. One of the reasons I hate GameStop, even then, Dreamcast is still out. It's 2001. And I went over to a GameStop and they were starting to get rid of some Dreamcast stuff. And this guy, the manager, had a box full of Dreamcast games. They were sealed. And there wasn't enough. It was one of these tiny GameStops in a mall where there's not much space in the back. So he had to come out to the front to do what he was about to do. He opens up this box. There's the games in there. And he had been ordered by corporate to trash them. And not just throw them away. He had to open them up, and everybody was just watching him do this. He took a box cutter, and he's just slashing every single disc. And we're just like, what is wrong with you? And it's like, I'm sure there was a video a few years ago about a GameStop that did that too, where they were taking controllers and stuff and like intentionally destroying them and then throwing them in their dumpsters so that nobody would dumpster dive for them. It's like, there's a reason you guys are going out of business. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, going out of business, I think they're more likely just fading slowly. They're not going out of business right now.
Give them a year, dude. They're going to be on blockbuster territory.
Mm-hmm. Speaking to our friend of the podcast, Billy, we still have some hope because people like him exist and they work for GameStop. But
hey, I want them to have jobs. I'm just saying their corporate overlords suck.
No, he was like the way he's very optimistic. Let's put it that way, and he's got some interesting takes on some of the new GameStop policies. I guess maybe it's in a future date. If Adam comes back, we'll bring Billy on to talk too.
We shall see.
All right.
I'm game.
All right. So just to wrap up the Southern Sega gentleman.
Yeah, that's right. That's the subject. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. We keep diverging. But
what are our predictions for his channel going forward?
I think that if he continues to make quality content, but at least can get into that zone of doing it more often, he will go into a much higher level of the retro gaming community. And I can tell you, as someone who's been doing this for 10 years, retro gaming has a ceiling. You can't really blow up in it, but you can be like kind of known for it. And I think he could do that. He could be, for the Saturn, what I somehow de facto fell into for Dreamcast and Shenmue. He could totally be that for Saturn. He just needs to go to that next level of like, okay, I'm going to proactively, constantly pump out content. That's my opinion.
Yeah, because his brand recognition right now is the Saturn and Resident Evil 2.
Yep, he could totally do that because Saturn doesn't have a guy. Saturn doesn't have something that's a dude who represents it and constantly covers it. There is a dedicated community. It's just smaller, but he could be that guy in that group.
Hey, what about the Saturn guy? No, I'm just kidding.
Is that a thing? Did he accidentally get invited to a con
no.
instead of Southern Sega Gentlemen?
That was a joke.
I'm aware. I'm just being really sarcastic.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Adam's saying. I think that he's going to hit that ceiling if he can, continue with this content and actually have it come out more regularly. However, I mean, again, he'll hit that ceiling. I think he's really niche, and I don't know if where he go from here to expand that content and not always just be this the Sega Saturn, but maybe include some other consoles that are a big part of his childhood or a big part of his life. Because again, I mean, just from our generation and ones coming after, not everyone even knows what the Saturn is and are not going to even click on that video because of that. So he's missing out on some people, in my opinion. I realize that's like his thing is the Saturn. So I'm saying like change your content a little bit, but if he's happy just talking about that and slowly growing until he hits that plateau, then yeah, he's doing what he's needing to be doing. It's really high quality content. It's just if it's not his goal to make it big, then he's doing what he needs to be doing right now.
Right. It all depends on your goal.
Yeah, exactly.
So, with our goal in mind, the 100 subscribers by the end of the year, please remember to like this video, comment on this video, subscribe to our podcast and Adam's channel as well. I know we can't make a big dent in what he's going for because I don't actually know what his goal is. But with 70 guys, we'll increase his subscriber count by 70 people. How's that sound?
I would take it.
So go subscribe to Adam's channel as well. It'd be a lot easier to find his. Just youtube.com/Adam Koralik. if you spell
Damn,
it right.
there's a nice little dig in that one.
What?
About you're like, easier to find his. He's got a custom URL.
Oh man.
Dude, I set that up back when they didn't care. You know, they were just like, yeah, you can make one. Who cares? They didn't have the same rules, man. I'm OG. I've been around for 10 years. You know how much stuff has changed on YouTube since then?
Yes, I do.
I should not exist.
I've had so. Okay, real quick. I promise this will be real quick, but I have had YouTube channels since 2006. So I was one of the original, probably one of the original few like 100,000 people to join the site. And we've had plenty of videos kind of blow up over the years. We even sold a Bigfoot hoax to Sci-Fi at one point in time. So it's not my first rodeo, but it is my first gaming channel. So.
Well, that's pretty good, man. Good on you.
One of these days, Chris is actually going to reveal some of these videos and stop, tantalizing people with it.
Yeah, maybe one of these years, if this channel ever gets big enough, I'll reveal some of our old channels, because some of them still exist, and YouTube will not give me access to them. We've been locked
Chris also
out.
has some. Yeah, Chris has some really close-up videos of him singing in the shower too, and those are on YouTube. So go find it.
No, they don't exist.
Yeah, link in the description.
Yes, they do.
I have some videos of myself and a friend. I want to say it was like late high school, early college, doing acoustic guitar on a couch. Happens to be my parents' old couch, and that exists somewhere on YouTube if you can find it. And that has a custom URL because I was still able to get one at the time. So, anyways, if you guys like this video, as I said, probably 25 to 30 seconds ago, please like the video, comment on the video, share the podcast on your social media, like MySpace, and please subscribe to our channel. We appreciate it.
I got your joke. It was where you were just foreshadowing GameStop's future.
Oh. With that being said, as always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
I'm still Adam.
You're still Adam. We will see you
On the next CHRILLCAST. Toodles.